Hey everybody, how you doing? Today we're going to talk about architectural review board and standards and deed restrictions and hospitals. I'm probably going to raise some questions on hospitals, but I just got a boatload of questions from for hospitals and the architectural review board. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi everybody, how you doing? And welcome. I'm Rusty Nelson, and this is a channel where we talk a lot about the villages, actually retirement also. We even do some products reviews once in a while, and we take trips outside the villages. And I'm probably going to get into pickleball a little bit, so that should be a lot of fun. And got a surprise coming up. Tomorrow I'm going out with a friend of mine that just purchased a lot down in the enclave. Now this is a new little special area in the villages, and he kind of has invited us along to check out the whole process from buying the lot, where the lot is. He's going to build a complete custom home down there. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm probably going to learn a lot about it because I may be looking for a little bit larger home also. So that's kind of fun. But today, don't forget to subscribe and like, please, and ring the bell, ring the top bell, all. The only thing that'll happen is when you turn on YouTube, some of these videos will pop up and say, hey, there's a new video, but that's about it. Anyway, today, I can't believe the amount of comments and questions that I've gotten about two subjects. And obviously, as Opie Taylor used to say in Andy and Mayberry, I got something preying on my mind, Pa. So it must be out there and people thinking about it, because I got so many questions about hospitals and comments about the architectural review board that it's got to be all of a sudden it's surfacing out there. We're going to talk about that. And to get into that, let's do this, because I did a video. I think it's called 15 deed restrictions that you need to know about or something. I'll put the link down below, or I can put it up here. And a couple of people wrote to me and said, man, I am so glad I watched that. And you're going to hear about why here in a second, because they were home buyers that were buying homes that were pre-owned, and they actually had problems. And one of these guys, his name's Dave. Now I'm going to play this for you. He stopped me in the middle of the parking lot and started to explain it. I remember the note that he wrote to me. But anyway, listen up. Here's Dave. He's going to talk about it, and you'll know exactly what it is, and we'll talk about it on the other end. I'm out in front of Spar out here, and I see a guy walking towards me that has the same kind of glasses. So I noticed this right away. And here he is. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, Dave Wright.
So Dave,
Fenny?
Yeah, Dave Wright down in Fenny. And Dave actually wrote to me in a couple of comments, and he recently bought a house, right?
Yes, we did. We've been here 5 weeks now.
Yeah, and you were watching the videos, and before you actually closed on your house,
yes,
what happened?
We had to have the owner go to ARC and get the approval for the landscaping that they had done years ago that never got approved and stuff. 3 islands, pretty expensive landscaping was put in and stuff. And we told them, it needed to be done. So
you talked to the agent and told them,
yeah,
you got to go. I was watching Rusty's videos.
Yes, yep, mentioned your name. Hey, we've been watching Rusty's videos, and we know this needs to be done. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's one big thing. Just like he was saying, make sure if you're buying a home that was previously owned, make sure you get your agent to check out and make sure that everything that was done and that was approved, and also get some kind of disclosure if they say, yeah, it was approved. Right. And that kind of saves your butt from having to change it.
Paperwork filed.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Great meeting you, Dave.
Hey, nice meeting you. Thanks, man.
Subscribe. Have a great day, man.
Hey, you too.
That's always fun meeting people. I love it when they got some good stories where they've learned some stuff from the videos, and actually saved Dave some money probably because of that video. Anyway, if you haven't watched it, I'll put the link down below. When I first started doing this channel 2 years ago or whatever, I literally did it because if you go back and look at that first video, it's kind of funny when I go back and look at it now, but you go back and look at it and you say, and I say, I was doing it because I knew I was going to learn a lot. And if I did stuff on YouTube, maybe other people would learn by it. I never dreamed that it would get this far out, but it tickles my fancy, so to speak, that people like Dave are actually watching and they're learning and I can help them, probably save them a lot of money. But at the same time, the agents need to work with their people that are selling their homes and the people that are buying homes and need to protect them. And I know they're not because I've gone out and asked these agents and they say, nope, they don't require any disclosure. So in a community that is bound together and governed by these deed restrictions, it has, in my opinion, has started to become kind of rampant and getting out of control to where people are just looking around and going, well, nobody else is abiding by any of these rules. What rules? I don't know about any of these rules. And because of that, when people are now going to sell these homes, they're having problems because they buy a house, the next door neighbor goes, well, it's a new guy, I'm writing this guy up. Now, like I said, I get all kinds of comments and questions about this, and we'll go ahead and address one really soon. But safe to say that you really need to protect yourself when you're buying or selling. And for God's sakes, if you're going to do anything to the outside of your home, just go to ARC and get it approved. It's not hard. It's really easy to do. So just do that. Anyway, let's jump into another. You can tell this is one of my pet peeves. I can tell this is going to go on for a long time, and I'm not letting it go. So let's go into a couple of these comments about ARC, and a lot of people wrote about ARC and the hospital. So let's try a couple with ARC. Here we go. Our Senior Adventures 8513. I'm not sure what the 8513 is, but it's Our Senior Adventures. Anyway, they write, Rusty, I cannot agree with your ARC concerns more. Well, it's not obviously not just my ARC concerns. It's a lot of people. We're looking to move there and have noticed home after home not following the deed restrictions. Even noticed a home painted rather bright purple. I can't believe that this was approved and certainly would not want to live next door. And that's the problem. What people don't understand is just because you don't mind a tchotchke with Mickey Mouse there doesn't mean that the people up the street or people buying a home across the street don't have a problem with it. And, I'll tell you something I just experienced. When Sonia came down here and looked at a home, we went to a house and next door was a home with probably, I'll bet you, 20 of these little statues, tchotchkes all over the place, from monkeys to turtles to all kinds of stuff all over there. When I went in to look at the open house, I said to the agent that was in there, who was a village person, I said, don't you have any type of deed restrictions or anything like that signed or to sign? And she goes, no. And I said, what about that house next door? She just rolled her eyes back in her head. Naturally, she wasn't going to say anything. But I said, well, I bet you wish that was gone. And she said, yeah. And I turned around to Sonia and I said, hey, you want to live next door to that? This is like, no way, right? So people don't understand. They're selling their house and they're saying, oh, I'll let them have all their tchotchkes there. But then when they go to sell their house, people don't want to move in anyway. I digress. I go backwards here. Can you explain who makes up the ARC board or committee? And if your home is found to be in violation, how is the homeowner made to repair the issue? A slap on the hand or a financial responsibility? Thank you for your videos. They've been very helpful. You're very welcome. So think of it this way. ARC is kind of like the review board, and it's kind of like an administrative type of thing, right? Standards, as they actually have the ability to enforce these. Now, I'm going to read a little bit right from the Villages website, but I believe that a part of ARC is part of the community, people from the community, but the standards, the standards folks are actually hired. I don't want to get into this too much because we're going to get in a bunch of weeds. The central CDD, right? So there's a central CDD that kind of sits over all the other CDDs that kind of governs them. So it's a long, involved thing. But anyway, that's pretty much hired by the developer, the villages. So let's take a look at what this says. This actually comes off of the website districtgov.org. So you can go there and get this. And this is off of frequently asked questions for community standards. And I'm going to read both of these because they're both kind of interesting. Does the Community Standards Department report violations they see when performing their duties? And the answer is each district board determined that reporting potential violations will be a complaint-driven process. Potential violations are not reported by Community Standards, Community Watch, or any other district department. Which is not how half the country does it. I don't believe, but that's the way it is set up now. And this has also caused a lot of controversy. And I think it's one of the problems. But directly to the question, what happens if an owner does not bring their property into compliance? There could be up to 3 notifications, with the final notification advising a public hearing date for the case to be heard before the Board of Supervisors for that specific district. The Board of Supervisors makes the final enforcement decision on whether there is a finding of guilt against the owner. If the owner is found in violation of the district's adopted rule, the Board of Supervisors may impose fines and seek all available legal remedies, which may include initiating a lawsuit, seeking an injunction against the owner, and placing a lien against the property. I don't think there's any doubt that Standards has the ability to enforce these rules. Like I said, they are in essence hired by the developer through the central CDD. I was recently sent, I don't know whether I'm going to publish this or not, but I was recently sent an anonymous kind of thing about somebody that was trying to get something that removed that was clearly in violation. I mean, I look at it and I go, I can't believe that this wasn't right away gone, okay, this is a violation. But I followed the emails of what this person went through, and it actually seemed like the Standards Department was actually trying to do everything they could to try to protect the person, in my mind, this is just in my mind, that was in violation, right? And like I said, I think if anybody looked at this, they'd go, okay, it's a violation. When in reality, their underlying goal, I believe, is to make the neighborhood standardized in a way and all look nice. So if something sticks out, that's what they probably need to go after and go, okay, there's 30 tchotchkes on somebody's front lawn, or the Oscar Mayer Wiener truck parked in somebody's driveway. That's a clear violation. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the problems, is that 2 of the problems actually right in there is, one, that this is a kind of complaint driven by people in the neighborhood. So you start to see all these tchotchkes out there. And if the complaints aren't made because they're trying to be nice to their neighbor, it just starts to snowball and get bigger and bigger. And then the problem with trying to enforce it or getting it enforced makes it even bigger. So when you're building as many homes as they're building right now, you can't afford to let this get out of hand. You just can't, or you got to find a better way to do it. Anyway, it is actually Saturday night, and I'm still recording this. And I'm going out to game night tonight, going out to dinner, and game night's what I love about the Villages. And I will come back tomorrow and we'll kind of jump into this a hair more, and I'll be in a different shirt, I think. And we'll talk a little bit about hospitals and maybe some fun other stuff. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, here we go. I am magically in new clothes, and now it is Sunday. And actually, remember I talked a little while ago, I was going to go out with my friend. We're actually going to go out and tape the first part of the first part of this video that we're going to do this series on buying down in the Enclave. So it should be interesting. We're going to go out and shoot the lot and where he bought and so on and so on. But back to these things about ARC and stuff. Here's just really quick, somebody else. Like I said, I got a whole bunch of these. It's just no time to put them up there. But Kirshen's writes, I'll skip the first sentence, and that'll lead us back into the hospital. I'm surprised ARC does not monitor compliance. My last 55 community would go around our neighborhood annually and record the infractions. We received a letter to comply with the time limit. Any external modifications had to be approved by ARC, met a few times a month. So that's supposedly the way it's supposed to work here. You're supposed to get anything you do, and I say it again, anything you do, you put a mushroom out there, get it approved. It's simple, it's easy, and they do it in a timely manner. Anyway, conversely, when I guess that's when I sold my house, a letter from ARC had to clear the house for sale. Can't believe a new homeowner would get stuck with prior owners' infractions. I'm not so sure it does. They do. But like I said, it's you need to check into it. It's part of buying the house around here. Continuing. With all the rules the Villages has, I can't believe they let these issues exist, especially since they have sales agents that know better. And I don't know what they know. I do know that they're very aware when people are breaking the rules and they affect the sales of their house, they're not happy with it. I can tell you that much, whether they're Villages agents or whether they're MLS agents. But anyway, the problem with infractions here is that you have 100 and some thousand homes. I mean, it's like the size of Manhattan. So a friend of mine and I were in the midst of doing an experiment, exactly how long it will actually take for somebody to go around neighborhoods and find out and list all the infractions. And this is part of an answer that I'm going to have. Now, whether anybody wants to listen to this answer is fine, but once I get it together, I will go ahead and present that to you guys and present it to the Villages. And hopefully it can be adopted, because we run through a couple of scenarios and we kind of think that it could be an answer to all this, and maybe even save the developer, the standards department, everybody, time and money. But I will get back to that. Anyway, I agree with you a lot on this, and it's tough. It's a tough situation. But naturally, if people would just comply with it and go get ARC approval, there wouldn't be any of these problems. Now, let's go to this part of it. This is the beginning, our first statement. Not having high-level hospitals is a deal breaker. Now, let me get into this a little more, because I'll admit to you, I am not up on this totally. And I'll tell you what, let me read one more hospital thing, and then I'm going to kind of give you my opinion really quick. I'm going to try something I've never done before. I'm going to put, if you think I'm lying about all these things, these comments I've gotten, here they come. I'm going to read these off in a rapid fire type thing. If you have a real answer, an answer, or you have a comment or something like that about these, please put it down in the comments down below, because I really don't know all the answers to these, and I'm not 100% sure of the answers. Maybe by doing this, I can start getting a focus of where to go, or if some people know the real answers. Get ready, because here they come. I'm going to read them really fast. Hang on. I am not a speed reader, that's for sure, but please hang on till the end of this, because I'm going to tell you what happened when I went to a meeting that was talking about the government in the Villages, trying to help people out understand it, because I raised the question about the hospitals there. And I think you'll be surprised at the answer. Anyway, here we go. Joy writes, "Hi, Rusty. I was down in the Villages about a month ago and liked it very much. The problem I immediately checked into was the medical community and was shocked at the lack of good medical care. I talked to other people who were upset with medical wait times at the local community medical community center, and lack of service. I can't comment to that. And enjoy your videos." This is by Texasing. "Enjoy your videos. Very personable. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. In a recent video, not this one, I believe you showed a map of a proposed medical complex south of the Turnpike. Any more on that?" I'll tell you right now, no, I don't know anything else about it, and it seems to have disappeared. Also saw a few concerns about emergency medical access. Any data on the EMS response times, home to hospital, ER? I do hear very positive things about the EMS around here, and it is controlled and funded by the local CDDs. So that's about all I think I know on that. Not real positive. Maybe people can chime in on that. That's what this is all about, to have other people help answer these questions and get us pointed in the right direction. Who runs the EMS? I just addressed that. Know where I can find this information. Thanks for the experiences you impart and your advice. You're very welcome. Grandpa Eric writes, "In my experience living in the Villages, when we had an emergency, the urgent care was closed for the day. Only open normal business hours, and we were forced to go to the hospital for emergency care. That cost us big time. But the promise of a new hospital with a real doctor south of 44 was a major positive. How am I not surprised the project disappeared? Glad I didn't take the bait and buy down there." Here's another one. NF. "Hi, Rusty. Thank you for mentioning about the Mystery Hospital. The lack of medical care is one of the major reasons why we haven't purchased a home there yet. I have asked about this many times to realtors, the sales office, and others with no straight answer. I understand that there's approximately 150,000 people living at TV now. What will happen if there is another pandemic or worse? Perhaps in a future video, you can provide an update on the cost of home and auto insurance." Yes, I will address that eventually. What is another major there is another major concern keeping us from buying in TV. It is my understanding that these prices have tripled since the hurricane. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about this, but there is a lot of BS floating around about the insurance. I'm going to try to dig into this a little bit. Mine has not gone up that much, and we have also had sitting around talking to some people last night, actually, at game night, we talked about this, and most people said that theirs hasn't gone up that much. A couple people went up a lot, but I don't know the factors. "Hi, Rusty. I'm from Philadelphia area as well. The Villages seems like fun." Yes, it is. I guarantee you I have fun here. "We have great access to healthcare in Philly area. Are there any hospitals in the Villages area that you would recommend?" I have not dealt with the Villages hospitals per se themselves. I did go up and apply and get my paperwork in at the VA. I believe it's an outpatient clinic. I'm not sure whether there's a hospital there or not, but I just want to get my paperwork in there. When I had pneumonia, I did go to the ER here, UF Health ER, right across from Brownwood, and it was, for me, a very good experience, I can tell you that, and they were some great people to deal with in there. That is my only personal experience. Okay, moving on. Eloise Parker, I had something to, I'm sure she's addressing the hospital, I believe, I'm not sure. It had something to do with the fact that when they voted in these commissioners, they raised the impact fees in Sumter. Not really clear, but the hospital was then going to move a couple of miles closer to the Turnpike and be in Lake County. But then it just stopped being discussed. maybe that would be a video to do. Yes, that's true, but it takes a lot of work to do that. It is really worrying to us, and I agree with you, Eloise. It's also worrying to me. There was this whole thing at election time. It made no sense as we had to just move here to the Villages. People who were Democrats had to change to Republicans to vote for these 3 commissioners. Then BEF. I'm not sure what BEF means. Sorry, I'm not good with that acronym. But yeah. If anybody knows, kind of can comment on what she's talking about, that would be great. Or if you could expand on that a little bit, that would be great, because I'm not sure. It sounds really interesting, but the questions are still out there. All right. This is the last one. It's very long. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but a lot of it, you can freeze frame here if you want, but it talks a lot about the hospitals, where they are, and that type of thing. So let me talk a little bit about my philosophy and then tell you about the story, so you understand this a little better when I was up taking this class with the developer. The whole reason for writing all those is I'm kind of reaching out to you folks. If you know or you have any comments about these statements, like I said, I've got much more. There's probably 3-4 times that many. And that's dealing with ARC too. So this just with the hospital thing is I'm kind of perplexed because I haven't heard a peep out of the developer at all. And that kind of leads me into this statement. I went to a class, and the class was to explain and help explain. It was held up at Standards up there in Sumter. It's up on the 2nd floor. You hardly even know it's up there, but I went and they explained, I think I talked about this earlier, about the whole thing, about the government and how it works, the CDD thing and stuff like that. It's kind of like, if you want to know, go back and look at my video that I did on the CDD and taxes and that type of thing, and explains almost the exact same thing. But in that, I stood up and I told them who I was. I always try to make sure that if I'm speaking in public like that, or, people don't ever want to think that I'm trying to do something behind their back. And I told them who I was, and I asked the question about the hospital. And there was somebody that you could tell that was speaking there that obviously knew something about the government and what goes on and stuff. And they, between them and the person giving the class, basically explained that developers really doesn't have anything to do with it. You have to go to the county to try to figure out these things and lodge your complaints or suggestions or whatever. Well, my opinion on that is that this is a different type of government here. In other words, in a normal government without a CDD, you have a little town, you have a mayor, you have this smaller part of the community, and they voice you can go to the county. Here, it's kind of disjointed, the jump between the CDD to the county, so it's not the same kind of representation. So personally, I believe that, and I'm sure they are. I can't believe that they're just blowing this off, because let me tell you something. I think that the developer has done an amazing job. I think they do wonderful things. And I've always said I'd give my left arm to talk to Jennifer Parr or one of them and sit down and have a talk with them, because I really think what they're doing is great for people. I really do. And that's why I believe, like I said, I'm on your side. I'm on the developer side. I'm on our side. I just want to make things as best as they can. And when I see some problems, I bring them up. But I believe that in all of this planning, I'm having a hard time believing that the developer hasn't thought of lopping off something or putting a hospital together. I know they want to sell houses. They don't want to bring up bad jujus, so to speak, but it's something that it's the big elephant in the room right now. This is the big elephant, and its baby is the ARC. And I really believe that in a community like this with 55 or over, where we start getting sick, it's not like we're 20, that you really need to have this kind of settled out. Now, for people that don't know it, and I'll say something really quick, there's 2 types of medical systems here. There's an Advantage system, which the Villages runs. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. Then there is the other part of it where you have just basic Medicare, red, white, and blue card. I did 2 videos on this, so you can go watch them. I'll put the links down below. And those kind of have a little tussle. Obviously, the Villages medical system would like everybody on theirs, but that's not going to happen. For somebody like me, it is just not right. I've investigated it. For me, I travel a lot. I'm outside the area. I have other issues. It just wouldn't work for me. For other people, it's wonderful. There's also TRICARE for the military. That's kind of a separate subsystem. So there's a lot of things that are going in here, but I just wish somebody would address it for all of us so we can sit back and go, okay, at least they're working on something. The problem is they brought up this wellness village or well care village that I talked about in the other video, and it just kind of disappeared. So with that said, please, if you have any comments about the hospital medical system, not just complaints, I went to the doctor and I hated him, that type of thing, but kind of like the idea of what the future looks like 5, 6, 10 years down the road, because we got a lot more houses. I don't know whether you read it or not, and I'll say it now. Let me see. The Villages. Yep, I'm getting out of here, and I got a bunch of my, oh, here we go. I'm coming back. Villages expands. I don't know whether everybody's seen this, but the Villages expands deeper into Leesburg with a purchase of about 3,200 acres. Now, believe it or not, that is right down by where that hospital was, or wellness village or whatever it was supposed to be. Whether that's in the game plan, I don't know. If anybody knows out there, please put it in the comments, but only if you know for sure, not guesstimates. I really appreciate that. I try not to guess at things, and I'm hoping you won't. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is a little bit different, throwing kind of stuff out to you guys and see how it sticks. Anyway, I am off with my friend down to the Enclave. We're going to do a little taping down there to find out the really cool area that he just bought down in. Some people are showing a lot of interest down there. I'm going to go. And once again, if I don't see you here in the Villages, I'll see you back here on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining me. You have a wonderful day.